Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Today, I would like to talk about communication with the divine and different ways that you can start to communicate and different ways that I have started to communicate that has helped kind of accelerate, my spiritual journey. And once I became aware of the fact that we have angels and we have guides and we have, ancestral guides and all different kinds of guides here to help us during this human journey, and that we are able to communicate with them and that they want to communicate with us. Say hi to the dogs. It was, really kind of like an enlightening moment. And I really now enjoy communicating and kind of lean on those interactions a little bit in some ways. And now one of the biggest ways that I think that communicating with the divine is most helpful is when you ask for a very specific sign. And you can feel in your gut when you see that sign that it is your sign. Like for example, you can ask for like an orange cup or something. Please send me an orange cup if I'm meant to go on vacation to Hawaii, or whatever it is that you're contemplating or that you're wanting or that you're needing a little bit more guidance on. And it doesn't have to always be big things, something being more important than the other or something being bigger than the other. That is also a judgment. And don't forget that the divine doesn't have judgment, and that even something that you may find to be trivial, you don't know what kind of ripple effect that is going to put out. So don't think that like, oh, this is just so tiny, like what do I eat for lunch? But what you eat for lunch can have a ripple effect on a lot of different things. So don't feel as though, something is ever too small of an ask, or the opposite. Don't ever think that something is too big of an ask, because remember, those are only our judgments. So asking for signs is a really, really wonderful way, and you can also ask for like ongoing signs. Like for example, a star is my sign for me being on the right path and what I'm doing daily and what I'm doing all the time. So when I see stars, and I remember that is my sign that I am on the right path. So you can ask for ongoing signs, you can ask for physical signs, and they will appear in ways that you would never think or never expect. And it's really, really comforting and reinforcing to know that you can have that kind of communication with the divine. And, so if you don't want to, if asking for a sign, you can also just ask in general and listen and get quiet, and you will be able to sense whether or not a thought that you have or an idea that you have is inspired or is your own thinking as you continue to do the inner work, and you continue to take care of your vessel, and as you continue to strengthen your relationship with your intuition and your clairs. You can start to trust your claircognizance or your clairaudience a little bit more as you start to develop that relationship. But how you develop that relationship is you just practice and you ask and you talk and you, most importantly, listen. And because we've talked a little bit about the clairs before, but your intuition comes in different ways. Clairvoyance is seeing something in your mind's eye. You know, if you can picture a red apple right now in your mind, that is your mind's eye. So when you sometimes see a flash of a picture, or you see like a clip of a movie, it kind of seems like that is your clairvoyance kicking in. It's not exactly, you're not always seeing things in the physical world, it's seeing things like in your mind's eye. And, you know, clairaudience is that voice speaking to you. And, you know, claircognizance is the thought that's kind of just like implanted in your mind. And keep in mind, because I know that this is very like a human thing of me, but I always, I don't know, feel like that some of the clairs are, you know, I don't want to say like can be signs of you going crazy or whatnot, but always keep in mind that the divine always speaks lovingly and positively, and will never ever tell you to do something that is going to harm yourself or others. And I feel like that should be a given, but it might not be, because sometimes it is hard to tell the difference between your ego mind, your running mind, and your intuition. However, your intuition always speaks gently, always speaks kindly, and always speaks from a place of love, and will never tell you to do something that you truly don't want to do, and will never ever ever tell you to do something that will harm another. That doesn't make sense. The divine is unconditional love for everyone. So if something seems like it is darker, like it is a darker energy or a darker thought, it is most likely coming from your egoic mind, and that is not the divine. So you need to really, really, really use your discernment and decipher things, you know? And I mean, yes, like of course you can have thoughts of kindness that come from your own egoic mind, of course, and you know, our minds are great tools and our minds are here to think. However, we need to get used to incorporating our intuition into our everyday lives. And the only way we're able to do that, and we're going to be able to trust our intuition, is if we continue to develop the intuition. You know, we continue to develop our relationship with our guides and our relationship with our higher self, and you know, really listening to our intuition and tuning in, and you know, really, really delving into that clarity, and that clarity of divine guidance. And you know, I am definitely on this journey. I am by no means like an expert or anything like that. I just like to be sharing what has helped for me and what I'm doing, and I am currently definitely developing that relationship with my intuition. And it has been such a wonderful, wonderful journey, and it has been so helpful. You know, I am able to make a few decisions a little bit more confidently, and I am able to kind of, you know, steer the path that I'm on right now with a little bit more clarity. And it just feels so good, and it is just so helpful. And it's comforting to know that we are surrounded by, you know, the divine spiritual entities that want to help us. And you know, I think that we also need to mention, let's touch on a little bit about darker energies. And so we have free will, and we can communicate with any sort of energy that we so desire, or that we don't desire. So when you're tuning in, you definitely want to pretty frequently be setting the intention to only communicate with with energy of the highest light. And I mean, unless you don't, that's totally up to you, because we do live in a reality where there are lighter energies and there are darker energies, and I'm not trying to separate them, because at the end of the day we are all one. However, darker energies serve a different purpose, and sometimes they are here to awaken people in different ways. Everything always serves its purpose, but just because the darker energies serve their purpose does not mean that you need to be communicating with them and letting them into your energy. You have 100% seniority in your energy always, and you can always choose. We have free will, therefore you can choose to only communicate with energy of the highest light. And I think that that is really, really important as you start to tune in and to tap in. And a lot of people like to go about it in a few different ways. I like to set the intention over and over again anytime I feel it's necessary, and just always asking that I only communicate, I only see, hear, feel, smell, taste, whatever the clair is coming in, energy of the highest light. It is what I choose to communicate with. And some people also like to just set a ritual of aligning with the highest light, aligning with the divine light only, and they choose to set their energetic field in that way. Some people like to really instill the belief that they are a high vibrational being, therefore they only can communicate with higher vibrations because that is the vibration that they are vibrating at. So you can set the intention, you can align, you can, set the belief of vibrating at a high level and keeping your vibration high. You can also really, some people just like to really connect with the oneness. And when they understand and fully are at the place where all energy is one. I mean, because it is, and we all need to be practicing this, but I'm talking about it in a way of communicating with energy. That they feel that oneness and that connectedness, and they know that everything comes from love. And that also works for some people. And you're going to want to experiment, and you're going to want to, again, use your discernment about what is best for you. What is your best avenue? And just because you find something that works for you doesn't mean that it won't change, because things can absolutely change as you learn, grow, and evolve. That's what evolving is. It's change. So your rituals will change, your intentions will change, the way you communicate with the divine, all of that will change. So that is our message for today about tuning in, tapping in, and communicating with the divine. It is a journey that I am on actively, and I encourage you to be on actively as well, because it is just so helpful. We weren't meant to move through this life alone. We weren't meant to be here on our own. Therefore, we are not, and we are never alone. And, angels, guides, ancestors are always around us, always guiding us, always supporting us, and they love us more than we could ever imagine. What they want for us to know is they want us to love ourselves the way that they love us, unconditionally, without judgment, viewing us as an absolute perfect being. They really, really, really want us to know that and feel that and embody that and live a life from that aspect. Live a life knowing that we are perfect. Live a life knowing that we are whole and complete. And live a life knowing that we are so loved, guided, and supported, regardless of what our egoic mind might be telling us at the time or what we might be going through. So I hope you enjoyed this message. My name is Anne, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you tomorrow.